Good morning, LCC kids, and happy Sunday. Welcome to our next edition of our Sunday morning lesson time. Thank you so much for tuning in and paying attention to these stories from God's Word. And we've been learning all kinds of stories as we move through the beginning of the Bible. We've learned from the book of Genesis about Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. And we've talked about Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Joseph. And today we're continuing the story of Moses. But first, we're going to play a quick game that's about stories. It's about some children's book stories that you might be familiar with. And it's all involving emojis. Let's see how good of a job you can do staring at these emojis and trying to guess what children's book is being portrayed there. Mr. Steven is here in the studio with us, and he's going to take it away.
Hello, LCC kids. So we're doing the Children's Book Emoji Challenge. I think you guys are used to this game by now. You're going to see a couple of emojis, and you're going to have to sound them out, say them out loud, try to figure out which children's book we're talking about. So let's see the first one. All right, let's see what we got here. We got a spider, a web, and looks like a pig. I think I know the answer. You guys shout out the answer when you got it. And the answer is Charlotte's Web. All right, let's go on to the next one. We already did that one. I said the next one. All right, there we go. All right, let's see. We got a cat, an arrow sign, and a hat. What could that mean? When you got it, shout it out. See if you can go 2 for 2. I think I know what this one is. And the answer is Cat in the Hat. Nice. All right, let's see the next one. Okay, we got some more emojis now. Let's see. We got 3 pigs and a wolf. I think you guys can get this one. Let's see if you can go 3 for 3. When you got to shout it out, let's hear it. I think the answer is the 3 Little Pigs. Classic. All right, last one. Let's see. Can you get them all right? Wow, that is a lot of emojis. But let's see. I think we can get this one. We got 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. I think you guys can get that one. Say it out loud. The answer is 1 fish, 2 fish, red fish, blue fish. All right, and that has been this edition of Children's Book Emoji Challenges. Sending it back to Evan now.
Thank you, Mr. Steven, for struggling right along with the children at home. Always appreciate you doing that. All right, let's dive back into the story of Moses. Last week, we heard about God's quiet salvation, how he rescued this baby, and how he was going to rescue his people through a baby. And here, we're going to learn about Moses and the burning bush. Right? Moses grows up in Egypt. He's raised in Pharaoh's household. Remember, the daughter of Pharaoh, the most powerful man in the world right now, she has adopted Moses, and she is raising him as her own child. But over time, he begins to see, and he notices the suffering of the Hebrew people, God's people. They are in slavery. They are being forced to work. They are being beaten and hurt and mistreated. And he's concerned about that. In fact, he steps in at one point to rescue a Hebrew slave that's being beaten, and he ends up killing an Egyptian. And then Moses has to head on the run. And he heads out into the wilderness of Midian. He's away from Egypt for a while. In fact, for 40 years, he's out on his own. But then he comes upon this strange sight. He's leading sheep. He's serving as a shepherd, which, by the way, a lot of important people in the Bible, from Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and Moses and David, right? They are shepherds, picturing Jesus who would be our shepherd. And he's tending to his sheep, and he sees this bush that is on fire. But most stuff, if you saw fireworks on 4th of July or you've ever been near a fire, eventually that stuff burns up and the fire goes out. But it's a weird situation. This bush is on fire, and yet the leaves are still green, and it's not burning up. It's not being consumed by the fire. It's this ever-going flame with this never-ending source. And he sees, this is something that I've never discovered before. Let me go check it out. And then a voice comes from the bush calling for him and telling him, Moses, you're on holy ground right now. Take off your sandals. And he says, I am the God of promise. I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And I have seen all of the hurt that the people I care about and the people that I love are going through. And I am sending you to them to rescue them, to bring them up out of slavery in Egypt. And we've said that the most important person to see in every Bible story is always God. What is God doing? And how is he fulfilling his promises? And just two things I want us to notice about God here. One is that God is. God is. And the opening words of the Bible are, in the beginning, God. God always has been, he always is, and he always will be. He's eternal. He is the first and the last. And, we come and we go and we live a few years on this life, and our lives come to an end, but God always is. And Moses says this to God. He says, who should I tell the people is sending me? Who should I say has sent me to come and rescue them? When I go to Pharaoh, who do I say I am representing? And this is how God answers. I am that I am. I am. The special name for God in the Bible is Yahweh, which means I am. He just is. He's like that bush, right? That's on fire, that's passionate, that's always burning bright and yet never consumed. God never sleeps. God never runs out of energy. God never runs out of resources. This is so important for God's people to see that God hasn't been sleeping. Your God didn't die. He always is, and he exists all by himself and doesn't need the help of anybody else to be. You and I exist because of God's thoughts, because he's created us, because he loves us. We need God, and yet amazingly, God doesn't need us. He just is. There is no one like our God. There's no TV show that's more awesome. There's no toy that you could get your hands on that's more impressive. There's nothing that you could experience that's more exciting than knowing the God who is. That's the important thing to see about God here. The second thing that God tells Moses, right? God is, but God is with us as well. Because Moses says, I could go to Pharaoh and I could tell him, the I am, the great I am has sent me, but I don't really speak very well. I'm a little bit afraid on my own. I don't know how I'm going to handle myself. They're not going to listen to me. Even your own people aren't going to listen to me, God. And here's the promise that God says, I will be with you as you go. You don't need to be powerful. You don't need to have everything put together. You don't need to be big and strong and amazing by yourself. I will be with you as you go. And that's amazing about God. The God who is the God who is with us. And we see this clearly here, where God cares about his people. He cares about their hurt. He's not ignoring them. His eyes are on them, and he is with them to save them. You know when we see that most clearly is when Jesus comes, and he is known as Emmanuel, God with us. And there are some shepherds out watching their sheep by night, and they see a strange sight in the sky, these stars that are burning and the glorious angels that appear suddenly announcing there is hope to this world that has come, because God has now come to us to be with us and to save us from our slavery, which is to our sin. That's what Jesus has come. In fact, Jesus said this, before Abraham was, I am. The great I am, the God who is, became one of us, became a human being to get so close to be with us, to save us from everything that hurts us and troubles us, and from the ways that our own sin has messed us up. This is amazing. This is how loving and awesome our God is. But you know what would be helpful? I want us to watch this clip real quick, because I think it does a good job of putting you in the moment that Moses experiences here. This is just a short video clip from the movie The Prince of Egypt of this scene from Moses and the burning bush. And we're going to watch that now, and then after that, be signing off for today, and we will see you next Sunday, kids.
Here I am. Take the sandals from your feet. For the place on which you stand is holy ground. Who are you? I am that I am. I don't understand. I am the God of your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. What do you want with me? I have seen the oppression of my people in Egypt, and have heard their cry. Stop it! Leave that man alone! So I have come down to deliver them out of slavery and bring them to a good land. A land flowing with milk and honey. And so unto Pharaoh I shall send you, me. Who am I to lead these people? They'll never believe me, they won't even listen. I shall teach you what to say. Let my people go! But I was their enemy. I was the Prince of Egypt, the son of the man who slaughtered their children. You've chosen the wrong messenger. How can I even speak to these people? Who made that mountain? Who made the dead, the mute, the seeing, or blind? Did not I? Now go! I shall be with you when you go to the king of Egypt. and smell.